welcome, thank you. The welcome wasn't as warm at 5:30 this morning at Brisbane Airport dressed like this. Oh, maybe some of you were thinking that when I was saying hello to you this morning. Oh, yeah, look at you, love, left over from last night, eh? Big night. Yeah, one lady at the airport at security said, "Are you coming home or getting started?" I said, "None of your damn business." So, yeah, judgments. I get judgments, stay at the Sheraton, come to Sydney, stay at the Sheraton. I go out at night to do my thing, training, come back. Receptionist looking at me, "Oh, yeah, we know what she does." But you see, when you own your space in the world, you will put yourself up for judgment. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today and the courage it takes to wear sequins at 5:30 in the morning. But my journey never started here, and I want to talk about the inside of leadership today. I want to go back to the foundation, because maybe the future of leadership is to go back to the beginning and check in on ourselves and the relationship we have with ourselves and check in on that foundation. So my foundation, well, you heard that my journey didn't start here. I didn't leave school and hop on a stage. But I tell you what, back then we went out hard and fast, didn't we? Remember that? We just left school and got a job. Any job. There was none of this, I need a gap year to find myself. A couple of different uni degrees while you wait for your passion to drop on you. No, we just left school and got a job. I grew up in regional Queensland, not a lot of job choices, lots of pubs and lots of hairdressing salons. Now, my dad was always at the pub, so I thought I'd be a hairdresser. Now, I knew I was going to get asked, why do you want to be a hairdresser? As leaders, we still ask that to our team today. Why do you want to work with us? We want to ascertain your passion level for what you're doing, make sure your heart's in it. So I thought, what am I going to tell them? Well, I can just tell them I love to cut hair, practice on my dad, practice on my brother, love to cut hair. Wasn't really my reason. I tell them I love to be creative because hairdressers are very creative. Not my reason either. Well, I can tell I'm a really good talker. If you noticed that already, I should be a good hairdresser because hairdressers sure do talk a lot, don't they? So I should be good at that. But you see, that wasn't my reason either. My reason was pretty simple, but I didn't think I could tell them this. I wanted to be a hairdresser because I wanted to be cool. Hairdressers are cool. They got the right do, wearing the right gear, they got the right moves on the dance floor. Cool. I was a front row of the bus kid. I wanted to make it to the back row of the bus in life where the cool kids hung out. Because you see, I'd already bought into the lie that I wouldn't be good enough unless I was hanging with the right crowd, unless I was blending in with the cool kids. I'd already bought into that. But I did make hairdressing. I had a wonderful career in hairdressing. And I took my passion to it and I learned a valuable lesson. You don't wait for the right job to make a difference in this world, the right team, the right platform, the right social economic climate. You take where you are now, you deliver your passion to it, and then life opens up opportunities for you. And that's what we need to inspire the people who are passing through our workplaces to know. The more transient they are, but you are still working on your life for the time that you are here. And what you put into it will determine what stages you get to speak on in the future. So I did make hairdressing. I had a great career in hairdressing, and I grew into who I needed to be to take this next big stage of my life. But I know you're going to be shocked, but guess what? I never made cool. I just couldn't get the cool thing going on, so I've let it go. Because you see, in the pursuit of trying to fit in with the crowd, we lose our uniqueness. The one thing that nobody can copy, that nobody can undercut on price, that nobody can give every team member as you lead them through this life is the unique you that you are. And only when we find that for ourselves can we inspire that in our team. I call that uniqueness your sparkle. So I literally wear it. But we all have it in us. And it is so shiny and bright when we are born. We look at a newborn baby and we're in awe, aren't we? We look at that newborn baby and we see perfection. We see miracles, we see unlimited potential, we see unique, we see amazing. You don't look at a newborn baby and go, well, look at you, you're a mess. Or I might be an odd one. And with those thighs, kiddo, I'm telling you, you're in big trouble. Might need a nose job. No, we see amazing, we see miracles. Everybody looked at you like that. We were amazed when you arrived. We saw perfection, unlimited potential, miracles. I still see that when I look at you. We just grew up is all. We just grew up is all. Everybody looked at your team members like that. And you would have looked at them that way too when you met them like this. We just grew up. We had our sparkle so shiny and bright. At 2, we were still owning that space in the world. We were fearless at 2. When you heard music when you were 2, what did you do? You danced. When you were in the supermarket at 2 and you wanted something, you writhed around on the supermarket floor until you got it. You were not concerned about the opinions of casual passerbys. Your parents were. Now, I don't suggest you do that tomorrow because that would be awkward. However, I do suggest you hang on to what you want in life with the same tenacity, with the same vision, with the same commitment that you did when you were 2. They were disruptive. We've got to now learn how to be disruptive. And yet we did it so naturally. At 2, we would march to front rows and we would take our place in the world and we would do it so confidently. At 2, we would do that. The relationship you have with yourself will affect every other relationship you have in your life. Leadership is a relationship. The conversations you have with yourself about yourself will affect every other conversation you have in your life. So let us get back in touch with our fearlessness and our courage, because that is what your sparkle is, but it's more than that. It is your resilience. It is your ability to get back up when you are knocked down. It is your ability to not be concerned about the opinions of casual passerbys that pass through our social media room and leave an opinion. That we stay so committed, knowing that we have a space in this world and we dare to take it, but knowing that when we do and we walk into a room with our sparkle so shiny and bright, that some people will look at us and go, well, who do you think you are? So the more courageous you are, the more courageous you will have to be. So at 2, if we still had this, and just on a side note, by the way, I get very excited about what I'm talking about. Are you getting that already? I just want to clear something up for you. I'm not on anything. Because I see some people going there, oh my God, what is she on? I think I was, so I'm not sure how I'm going to go on it, but I wouldn't mind giving it a go. And don't be embarrassed for me because I'm okay with myself, okay? It's all good. And sparkle, there are some guys in the room sitting there thinking, I'm a man's man. I'm not sure if I do sparkle. That's all right, if you do sparkle, I've got no judgment about that. But if you don't, every time I say sparkle, you think spark. You good? All right. Guys have got spark and girls have got sparkle, so stay with me on that. And so your sparkle at 2, you still had it. It was so strong. You know, it will affect everything you do. At the airport, so what happens as adults? What happens from 2? At the airport the other day, first flight out of the day on a City Flyer flight. I'm sitting in the airport lounge, lots of confident people, lots of leaders in the room, men in suits, women in business outfits, you know, leaders of teams, I'm sure. We're all sitting there waiting for our flight to be called. The little guy comes and delivers the newspapers. He wasn't a little guy, I don't want to call him a little guy, just the guy. Delivers us the newspapers at the newspaper holder. Must have been when they first started doing newspapers, everyone looking at the newspapers. Do you think they're free? I don't know, go and get one, I might get one, you get one. Maybe you've got to pay for them, I'm not sure. Go and get one, I might get one, you get one. It's a newspaper. So the voices keep going for a little bit longer. I thought, this is ridiculous, so I got up. What do you think happened as soon as I picked up the newspaper? Oh, everybody wants one now. I mean, nothing happened to her. She seems to be okay. That is how emotionally fragile we have gotten, and we didn't even see it coming. That we wouldn't sit in the front row because, my God, she might look at me. What if she asked me something? I might die. It's because, you know, physically nothing's going to happen. I knew that physically going up and getting the newspaper wasn't going to get slapped. So it's not our physical safety, it's our emotional safety. That's how emotionally fragile. So if we're that emotionally fragile that we haven't got the courage to stand up in front of the crowd and pick up the newspaper, how can we dream the big vision and inspire our team to come along with us? How can we dare to fail and get back up and take the criticism and the negative feedback? Because we didn't even see it coming. And so let us be aware of those moments. It's time for a workout to challenge ourselves out of our comfort zone again. You know, my son said to me, Mum, you know what our school's about this year? I said, what, Jack? He said, Mum, it's about footprints. I said, oh, Jack, I think I'm going to like this. Tell me more. He said, well, Mum, it's about whatever job you choose to do in this life. Make sure you leave your unique self in that job so the world will know that you've been and made a difference. Leave your unique footprints. I said, oh, my God, Jack, that is fantastic. That's what Mummy talks about. That is so amazing and that is so fantastic. Thanks for... He said, Mum, stop. He said, you can use that story if you like, all right? I said, all right, Jack, I will. So as soon as I made the footprints to the newspaper, everyone is happy to walk in them. What we need is people brave enough to leave the footprints, to make the first footprints. We need leaders courageous enough to be the first to pick up the newspaper, because everyone's going to be happy to walk in the footprints once you've made them. But it's the courageous individual that's owning their space that dares to be the first one. That's the kind of leaders that leave a legacy, inspire a team, to leave those footprints. So if at 2 we are so courageous, what happens between there and an adult? Well, marketing happens, and we're not going to stop it because marketing sells things. But marketing tells you you're not good enough unless. You're not good enough unless you bought a Jeep. Have you bought a Jeep yet? Buy a Jeep. Unless you wear a certain brand of clothing, hanging around a certain crowd, you wouldn't be good enough. But you see, we arrived already good enough. We were miracles. The rest is just the trimmings, and it's nice. Set goals for your stuff, enjoy your stuff, but don't define and over-identify in your stuff. Because what happens one day when you lose your stuff? It erodes our sparkle, our confidence, our self-esteem. If we start lining ourselves up and comparing ourselves to everybody else, we lose us along the way. You see, there was never any competition. All we ever had to do was come out and be the best of ourselves, and there is nobody else like us. So the minute you own the best of yourself, you will shine so brightly because there is nobody else quite like you. I don't come to a program like this and try to be the best speaker on the program. How could I ever do that? I can never do Lisa like Lisa does Lisa. I will have to let Lisa do Lisa and I'll do Julie. And Darren wouldn't fit in this dress. So he will have to do Darren. And so we just be the best of ourselves, and that is how we hold our place in this world. So we have got to be courageous enough not to over-identify in the stuff and enjoy the journey. Now, ladies, we get smashed a little bit more because of body image. Do you know that there is no image you see on any platform anymore that is real? You do know that, don't you? None. It's all fake. It's just pretend that you can get an app on your Instagram and cut in a thigh gap. We'll just cut that baby right in. We can get an app on your phone, make your face look like this. Any wonder we get to the mirror and say, what the hell happened? And then suddenly we're making comparisons and comparing ourselves, robbing ourselves of our sparkle, our courage, our resilience, the things that make us stand out from the crowd, trying to be like somebody else. Now, I know for sure that this is a problem because a couple of years ago I wore my bikini to the beach. I never got the memo. So I arrived at the beach and a couple of young ladies made a comment about me in my bikini. It wasn't nice. It took me a moment of great self-leadership to move through that moment. I love my legs, I love my legs, I love my legs. My sparkle is alive. And I got home and I thought, this is ridiculous. We are a first world country. We have such abundance. We have, so much, and yet we are still consumed by body image and it is still robbing us of moments. So I thought, what can I do? I thought, I know what I'll do. I coerced my teenage son to take a photo of me in my bikini by the pool. He was rapt. Especially when I put it on Facebook. My name is Julie Cross. Yes, I am 47 years old and I still wear a bikini to the beach. Who should I apologise to for the stretch marks on my stomach from carrying two 9-pound healthy baby boys? I apologise to nobody for that. Who should I apologise to for the dimples in my thigh that you thought were cute when I was 2? They're mine and I will own them. This is my body. It is carrying me through a big life and it is doing a fine job of it. And haven't we got bigger things to worry about? It is time. I put that post up on a Sunday afternoon. I was not prepared for the reaction because by Monday morning it had 120,000 likes. My son was really rapt now. By the end of the week it had gone viral with 210,000 likes. There would be 45 points of contact with the media worldwide, Morning TV, New Idea magazine, online radio stations, people ringing me, hundreds of messages, 14,800 comments on that post, all over that. It made me sad for 2 reasons. First of all, if I knew it was going to go viral, I would have worn a sparkle bikini instead of my $20 stretch Kmart black bikini. But also that would be a sign of the deep emotional wound in our society that it would get that much attention. Ladies, enough is enough. Guys, you were doing a bit better than us than we are in this area. So you just keep getting to the mirror and doing the helicopter. It's working a treat for you. Love yourself up. Ladies, we have got to start looking into who we are a little bit more. Stop judging ourselves and lining ourselves up with each other. Start loving who we are and look into ourselves, and we do not compare each other. We do not need to compare. We just do need to be more being who we are and loving ourselves up for that. Loving ourselves up for that. And then one of the loving things you can do is take yourself for a walk in the morning. The reason that people don't get out and go for a walk in the morning is not because they don't know how to walk. Have we got that? People ask me about motivation all the time. Do we need more data on that? I'm waiting for the government to spend another $1 million on a study to find out walking's good for us. I haven't got enough information on it yet. No, we have all the data, we have the equipment. So what stops us? We have got to get connected to the bit of us that understands we're worth the walk in the morning. Once you connect to the emotion, you create motion, which is motivation. So when you're inspiring your team, you connect them to the vision of what you're doing. We just don't fill them with product knowledge and statistics. We connect to their hearts. And you need to do this and you need to know you're worth that because life is going to throw you some big things, personally and professionally. It's easy to lead through a life that is going well, but it'll be through leading yourself through some of your greatest personal challenge, you will discover your best of yourself professionally. This was my sweet spot. I moved to Townsville a single girl. If you go to Townsville a single girl, you're going to marry an army guy. It's the rules. Sunday session, see if you do 2-for-1 drinks. Look what happens. So I married my army guy. He's the one that believed in me and said, go follow your dreams. Great leadership to believe in somebody. He sent me off. I started my business and I'm living my dream with 2 beautiful boys, a wonderful supportive husband. Life is great. Then it would be the 17th of December. My husband and I would go to bed, wake up in the morning, and I knew my life had changed forever. My husband could not walk, he could not talk, he could not move his right arm, and the right side of his face was totally paralysed. He'd had a massive stroke during the night. He was 42 years old. There is no waking up this morning going, my sparkle is alive. That's like putting a smiley sticker over the empty fuel tank gauge of your car and going, I'm just going to be positive. Because you're sitting at devastation. But the ambulance takes him away. You go, what do you mean he's had a stroke? You bring him back and you bring him back the way he was. We were having a nice life. This is not what I bought into. This would be my greatest leadership role of my life, to lead my family through this. So suddenly we are caught in a spiral, and that's what happens. Things get worse before they get better. He's in the hospital. My son splits his head open. He's getting stitched up. The next time my other son gets a vomiting wog, I'm overnight in hospital with him. My husband's in another hospital, and I don't even know what happened to my other kid that night, to be honest with you. And I'm just thinking, how can I make it stop? Somehow we make it from the 17th of December to Christmas Eve. It's Christmas. My kids are 8 and 4. I've got to do something for my kids. My husband wouldn't be home, but I'm up Christmas Eve wrapping up presents. And I go to bed and I think if I could just get some sleep, I'm going to be all right and I won't have a nervous breakdown. But the dog over the back, well, I drag the dog into my vortex as well. So the dog starts barking and barking and barking. Never heard the dog before, but I know tonight the dog's out. Never met the neighbours before either, but I was about to. So I left the house, went round the corner at the cul-de-sac in my pyjamas, went and knocked on the door. A young fellow answered the door and said, hi, I'm Julie from over the back. Sorry I got to meet under these circumstances. It'd be nice to meet you some other time. I hear you've got a dog. Do you hear you've got a dog at all? Because we can sure hear your dog over the back. Normally it wouldn't matter, but my husband's in hospital. He's had a stroke and I don't know when he's coming home. And I just know I need to get some sleep or I'm going to have a breakdown. In fact, I may be having the breakdown on your doorstep right now. So I'm wondering if you could do something about your dog. So he listened to what I had to say. He said, well, we gave away one of the dogs today. I said, well, it's a wrong damn dog. And what I discovered is that anger's a step up from devastation. I'm on my way back. You've got to move through all the emotional scales to get back up there. You know, you can't go straight from devastation to joy. I'm feeling a little more empowered. He took it like a good neighbour should. When you're a leader, you'll have to take it like a good neighbour should sometimes, because people might be hurting around you. So you take it like a good neighbour should. He shut the dog up. Haven't heard it since. I'm sure it's fine. But I got a good night's sleep. And somehow we get through Christmas. In those coming weeks, we would have many appointments about my husband's progress. But what I discovered was that nobody could give me a date when my husband would be better. Because with a stroke, we don't know what that day is. So if there is no date that when he's going to be better, when do I get to be joyful again? When is that date? When I empower up, when I lead myself through it, is when that date will be. So if I focus on the devastation, I stay devastated. What if I lifted my thinking to gratitude? You heard about gratitude today and the impact it had on my career. That's a better feeling place. It takes discipline, but I can empower up and I can lead myself through this. I focus on gratitude, I focus on hope. You lift yourself up through the emotional scale. That does not mean that you go back to devastation. And I have to lead my children through this, my greatest leadership role of my life. So every time you sit back in devastation, you give yourself a moment, then you get yourself back up and you do it again. And every time you get back up, you get stronger. And so we continue that process. We get from December to the end of January, the children go back to school. My youngest is 4 at the time. Thomas goes back to school. He had a delay in his language. He was getting speech therapy, but now my husband was in speech therapy, so it wasn't about Thomas. But the teachers say those dreaded words, Julie, you need to have Thomas assessed. The assessment comes back that Thomas lives with autism. So now my house looks like the current affairs show that you've all seen, with the kid running around, kicking walls and headbutting windows. I've got stroke in therapy, I've got autism in therapy, I've got stroke trying to communicate with autism, autism trying to talk to stroke. I'm needing some therapy and I'm trying not to lose my mind and my other son in the process. But what's my choice here? What's my choice? My choice is that I can't wait for him to grow out of being autistic, because they don't grow out of it. So best I find some happiness in amongst his autism, or I'm going to have a miserable life. And that's a leadership decision you make, because you change the way you see it. I can't change what's happening, but I can transform how I'm seeing it. As long as I look at Thomas with what he can't do, he shows me in plasma high definition with the volume up loud everything he can't do. Leadership is an exchange of energy, so let me look at what he can do and let me focus on that, and we'll have that expand, as Jackie said today. And so for the next 4 years, we're a family in a big mess. We've become attached to everything looking perfect. Life's messy. We're just a big mess. So we're just doing the best that we could. With stroke trying to learn to talk, autism trying to learn to talk, windows getting smashed. But we do our best. Nothing ever looks Instagram perfect. And you lead yourself through the messy times as just the best that you can. And you don't judge it by anybody else's story. You stay true to your own. But my husband needs a new heart. He's on the heart transplant list. He would get an infection, go into hospital. I would be picking him up on the Tuesday morning. We would speak to him on the Monday night. We told him we loved him and I said, I'll see you at 9 o'clock in the morning. But at 5 o'clock in the morning, I would have a phone call to invite me to go to the hospital, to walk into a room that I don't want to go into. But there are some rooms you're going to have to walk through. I would have a devastating drive home to walk into the room at home to tell my little boys their daddy has died. So we go back to devastation again. But I have to lead my boys through this, and nobody promised us none of this. So we sit in our devastation, we allow ourselves our sadness, and then we invite ourselves to get back up through it, because you are worth getting back up for it and through it. And so are my boys. And so you do that. And so my husband was in the army 20 years. He died on Remembrance Day. You see, he would do that like we were going to forget. That was his sense of humour. Every year I've woken up wondering if I had been a good enough leader for my boys. Have I affected them enough? Have the gaps? Because in my worst moments, it did not look good. I wasn't good. I'm sure they'd love to come and do a show for you. But I did the best that I could with what I knew at the time, and I worried that it wasn't going to be enough. Well, I can tell you that 3 years ago, my oldest son left home at 17. He decided to make footprints beside his dad's in the army. This is his dad at 17 at Kapooka, and this is Jack at 17 at Kapooka. He is a confident, kind, strong, courageous young man. Gifts my husband tagged him into as he left this world, because that's how I can choose to see it. I don't know who Jack would be had he not gone through all of this, but I know who he is having gone through it. And I'll have to take that as a gift from what we've been through, because I can transform how I see things in my life. Thomas, Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. Thomas is now 17. He has taught me to look through the broken windows of my life to the view beyond. I taught him, if you break it, you clean up after yourself. And he taught us, with the help of other leaders in his life, that he would achieve things that would be amazing. Thomas, with his autism, we do not make him try and fit in with us. With diversity, we allow them to have their stage and stand out from the crowd. We went to lunch recently when my son was home from the army. Jack and I went and got our lunch and sat down. Thomas got his and sat down at a different table. You see, I don't make him sit with us to make us look like the perfect Instagram family and to stroke my ego to make me feel a bit more normal. Because I would not be walking my talk as a leader. I inspire people to stand out from the crowd, so I need to give him a stage and allow him to be who he needs to be. And if that means sitting at another table, that is fine. We go to the movies. He sits in L7, I sit in J10, and we have a lovely time. And that is our normal, and that is okay. And he is a leader in the community, teaching people about diversity and how we need to give them their stage, because we can learn, in fact, from them rather than trying to make them fit in with us. Thomas had had a stressful couple of weeks, and I knew he was going to be stressed, and when he's stressed, he just talks a lot about nothing. At home, he swears at me, but when we're out, he just talks a lot about nothing. He was having work experience in a coffee shop. I met him in the city, and I knew he was going to be stressed because this was a stressful situation for him. I met him on the Friday. We caught the train on Friday afternoon. We got onto the train. He turned left and I turned right. Doesn't hurt to give him a bit of space. He's stressed. I sit down on the train. I get a text message. Don't you think mothers should come and sit with their sons? I look up and he yells across the train, well, don't you think mothers should come and sit with their sons? Evidently, everyone on the train thought so too. So I went and sat with my son. Now I'm sitting with him, and directly opposite us is a young fellow. You know, he's sitting right looking at each other. He's coming home from the train on a Friday afternoon. We're sitting there looking at each other. And then Thomas starts. Mum, is it called Wooloowin Station because it's at Wooloowin, 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 Wooloowin? That's a funny name for a station, isn't it, Mum? Did they call it Wooloowin, Wooloowin Station because it's at Wooloowin Station? Is that why they call it Wooloowin Station? I go, yes, Thomas, I guess so. Well, I think you can think of a better answer than that, don't you, Mum? The guy's going, Mum, there's Dackerman after Petrie Station because Dackerman's a suburb after Petrie. Is that why they put Dackerman after Petrie Station? Is that why they did that, Mum? Is that why Dackerman after Petrie? Is that why they did put Dackerman after Petrie Station because Dackerman comes after Petrie? I go, oh, Thomas, for God's sake, that'd be why. Well, I don't think you should talk to your son in that tone of voice, do you? The guy's going, Mum, what does this spell? V-I-R-G-I-N. The guy's going, and then Thomas goes, Virginia Station. person. But the guy's going... Thomas looks at the guy and goes, what the hell's he laughing at? I said, Thomas, he's enjoying our wonderful conversation. And the guy goes, yes. For the next half hour, Thomas entertained more people on that train, and I allowed him to have his stage for that time. I could have chosen to be offended. Don't laugh at my child, don't you realise he's autistic? But allow him his moment to lead those people through understanding that this is diversity and that they have something to offer. So Thomas enjoyed his moment. As this young guy got off the train, he turned around and he looked directly back at us. He looked at me and he said, I've got to tell you, you do the most fantastic job. He said, I've also got to tell you, that's the best train ride I've had in years. I said, well, you know we're paid to sit on trains and entertain the passengers, don't you? Diversity. Let us make sure that we're allowing it to have its stage and letting it stand tall. And me, I realise that this photo looks like I'm getting married or something. I'm not, just so you know. But last year, I'm 10 years on from losing Flash. 10 years is the anniversary this year. In the midst of dealing what I had to deal with, my professional life had to get put aside. There were times I dared to sneak and have a look at what everybody else was doing in the speaking world. And I said, what are you doing, Julie? They're all passing you. And life whispered to me, the universe whispered to me, Julie, you are dealing with what's important right now. And when you deal with what is important personally, you will grow into who you need to be professionally to take the next big stage of your life. Julie, you run your own race. You own your own space and you let everybody else own theirs. If I was to compare my success, and last year I was awarded my CSP, one of the highest designations in speaking in our country and in America and many other countries in the world. It took me 20 years to do it. Some people do it in 2, but this is my journey. And it's okay that it took 20 years because it's not a competition. And it is okay, and eventually you have your moment when you look after what is important personally. You grow into who you need to be professionally. If I was to compare my success to Anthony Robbins, I would feel like a miserable failure. If I was to compare my reach in the personal development arena with Oprah, I'd be might as well forget it. But we don't need to make that comparison. That is strong self-leadership. Because you be who you are, you own the space that you're meant to own, and however big a space you end up taking up is exactly how it is meant to be. And let us inspire our people to do the same. Let us inspire them just to bring the best of themselves to every moment, to every customer engagement, to every moment while they're with us. Let us inspire them to do that. And I have to tell you that if this is the future of leadership sitting here in this room, then I think the future of leadership is in good hands, because the future of leadership is you. Thank you so very much for having me. It's been an honour to be here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.